This is Speaking with the Enemy.
Yes, it is Speaking with the Enemy, and an enemy broadcaster and a former enemy on the field, Natey Adjei, is here with us, now with TSN 1050, but a former Argo. And we were just talking off the air before we came on here. Labor Day, memorable for you, because why, Natey?
So obviously Argos, Ticats, one of the biggest rivalries in all sports, right? But in 2014, that was my first ever start in the CFL, my rookie season. Spencer Watt goes on an injury the week before. So I'm, tasked with the duty of starting in the first ever game at Tim Hortons Field. And I'm thinking, okay, I've watched this game my whole life. I've seen all the fights, all the battles, the rivalry. I know what it's all about. But you don't know what it's about until game time comes and you can't hear anything. The fans are going nuts because it's the first game at Tim Hortons Field and it is Labor Day and it is the Argos. So lots of memories from that day. My family was in the stands. They didn't love it because Ticats fans, you know how they roll. But I will never forget that game.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. That rivalry, the Argos Ticats rivalry is special no matter what time of year they play. But on Labor Day, like for you get to come to Tim Hortons Field. You and Hoagie broadcasting for TSN 1050. Like, are you nervous? Are you excited? Like you're on the road with the Argos. How you feeling?
Yeah, no, things have changed a bit since I've been in the broadcast booth. Because I have to tell you, like every game I've ever played in my life, whether it was practice, high school, college, anywhere, any football game, I've always been nervous. Like not nervous, but anxious. You know what I mean? And always have butterflies, night before, day of the game, until I get my first catch or touch the ball for the first time, then it goes away. But for games, like my first game we just did this past week, no nerves at all, just pure bliss, just enjoying everything there is to offer about game day, seeing the action, seeing my friends out there on the field. It's really fun. It's a blast. It just feels like I know. Don't tell my bosses, but I can't believe they're paying me to do this because I would honestly do it for free. So it's all good, all fun.
We'll have to bleep that out. For my bosses, I am still willing to be paid. So make sure there's a check in the mail. Let's talk about this new role because did you always know you wanted to get into broadcasting? I mean, you've always had a passion playing football since you were a kid. Like, was this kind of the natural progression for you, or was it something that over the course of your career you looked at guys and were like, okay, I can do that?
So a little bit of both. Like we were talking before we got on about, legendary TSN broadcasters. And since I was a kid, man, I didn't watch cartoons. I was watching SportsCenter on the loop. And my mom was like, don't you want to watch something else? I'm like, no, this is what I want to watch. So I've kind of always been enamored with the sports media side. I remember my dad dropping me off at school. He'd be having the Fan 590 in the car. And funny enough, we'd be listening to like Hogan on the Fan 592 and guys like Don Landry. And, so it was something that I always thought about. I didn't know quite how I would get into it. So, throughout this pandemic, I got the chance, to sit back and see what do I really want to do. And I love the media side. So I started a podcast, really loved it, wasn't getting paid for it, but, really loved putting in the work and creating something from scratch. And they really scratched that itch. So, and then on the other hand, seeing, all the former players get into media was kind of, showed me that I could do it. I have the passion for it. I like talking to guys. Why not? Right. So it's kind of a bit of both for me.
It's so funny. It's what you just said there, you and your dad coming back from school, coming back from practice, listening to the Fan 590. And it's just like, I got goosebumps. Just like I pictured myself in my dad's like white Ford Tercel. Like, can we listen to something else? No, we got to listen to the 2020 sports update. So it's just, it's funny because I have very similar stories in terms of wanting to get involved in broadcasting. And you brought me back right there to my dad's car and that AM radio blaring on a summer night coming home from baseball or something, but very cool. What about this Argos team here? What do you make of what we've seen 2 games in? And is there sort of a belief that this Argos team can compete with the best in the CFL?
Absolutely. You talk to all the guys on the team, it's a different Argos team, right? They made a lot of noise in free agency, right? But they brought in winning caliber players. Coach Dinwiddie really emphasized that in the players that he wanted to bring in. He wanted to bring in a certain type of character guys, certain kind of guys. That's why you saw a lot of guys got signed from Calgary and Saskatchewan because they have cultures there, winning cultures there, right? So there's a lot of jokes that it's Calgary out east, right? But no, really, those are the winning type of players that Coach Dinwiddie's used to coaching, and the kind of players that make a difference. And not just it's one thing to have high character guys and no talent, but these are high character guys with talent, right? And Coach Dinwiddie's been a hot candidate for a long time in this league, and he's finally getting his opportunity, to step out of the Calgary shadow a little bit and put his imprint, put his own stamp on the team. And the early returns are really good. I mean, I signed to Toronto in 2020 before, and just talking to him before the season and how fired up he was. It was probably first thing in the morning, like 7 a.m. And this dude had me ready to run through a wall for him. And I'm like, man, I haven't even brushed my teeth yet. And, he got me ready to roll, right? So, the passion he has is unparalleled. The players coach, but he knows when it's time for business. The guys love playing for him. There's a lot of talent on this team. And guys know, like when you talk to guys, when you have a talented roster, right? And when you have a chance. And the belief is sky high on this team. And, they feel like if they play their game, they can't be beat. And it's just about putting in the reps because the players are still relatively new, but just about putting in the reps, going through journeys, going through different situations together and figuring it out as you go. But the talent is there. The coaching is there. The general manager, Pinball, Murph, Vince all did a great job with this team.
And you mentioned just those connections to Calgary and Dinwiddie, but one of them was on full display the last time they played. Of course, didn't get to play this Thursday, but the last time they played, we got to see Nick Arbuckle and just what he could do. And even that was still 310 yards, solid performance, protected the ball, no interceptions. How has he fit into this offense? And is he the quarterback that the Argos have been waiting for the last few years here?
Yeah, I mean, I think even going back to James Franklin, and I think this is the kind of quarterback they're looking for. But the thing is, this offense suits his system, his style, right? He played on this offense in Calgary, so he got to know the ins and outs. He came in his first ever game in the CFL, 2019, for second game of the season. Bo Levi gets hurt in the fourth quarter. Calgary's trailing by 10 at the time, right? He comes all the way back, leads the team down, drive to score, and then drive to get a field goal. They're up by they were trailing by 10, and they go up by 6, I believe. And it just shows so much poise. It shows so much of just the Calgary mentality of where no matter who they put in there, they're able to succeed. And they do a great job scouting. And he's one of the guys you're seeing it with Mayer now. It's like they have an eye for talent, and if you're able to get one of their players on your roster, you're getting a good one. So Arbuckle is certainly that. He came out in Winnipeg 2 weeks ago, right? His first actions, you could tell the energy was different. The game was flat until he came in there. The energy was different. He came into the huddle, commanded things, making throws on time, on target, and that's what you want to see. And that's what I like seeing from him, right? The receivers that I talked to, they like both him and Macbeth, but Arbuckle just has a certain air about him where he comes in the game, it's go time, right? So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Just looking for it to continue, looking for consistency because he's never been a quarterback for a whole season, right? This is kind of his first time. So that's the next step. He can do it. Now we just want to see it for a whole season. And
a guy that just kind of, I don't want to say showed up because he's been here his name has been all over the football game the last couple of years, but DJ Foster, wow, what a CFL debut. Couldn't have written it any better. 10 touches for 100+ yards. This guy is good. And I guess for Argos fans, for Ticats fans who will get to see him up close on Monday, but for Argonauts fans, really an electric player that can get that building excited quick.
Oh, quick. I mean, I knew he was playing. He was on the roster, and it looked like he was going to, do a majority of special teams, returning kicks and all that. But, they kind of mixed them in well, right? It almost looked like what back in the day what Winnipeg would do with Timothy Flanders and Andrew Harris, where they would have that 2 running back system. They can flex one out, throw a screen pass here, have the other one in the backfield. You just never would know where they would be, and there were threats from all over the field. And, it's interesting because watching the game, Hogan was he was telling me the stat where DJ Foster was one of 5 guys in the NCAA to run for 2,000 yards and also catch for 2,000 yards, which is unbelievable. And in high school, in one game in high school, he ran for, I believe, over 560 yards in one game. I was like, what? These are fantasy. I mean, you couldn't even do that in a video game if it was on easy, right? So this guy is a baller, and he can play. And just watching him, every time he touched the ball, I looked over to Hogan. I'm like, he's playing. I literally said this. I'm like, he's playing like he never wants to be off the roster again. So very exciting player, knows what to do with the ball, can run, can catch. Exciting every time he touched the ball. It's funny. It was his first game, but when he got the ball in his hands, the crowd kind of was like, oh, anticipating something to happen. So it was very, very fun to watch his debut.
I want you to finish the sentence for me. The Argos will win on Monday if
we don't turn the ball over. No, that was a big point of emphasis in the last game against Winnipeg. No turnovers. I mean, there was one turnover. It was a sack fumble, right, and it led to 7. And that's the only reason why Winnipeg really got back in that game. But if you eliminate that, it was turning into a blowout kind of game. So I think if the Argos don't turn the ball over, it'll be a win.
Yeah, and the Ticat secondary is getting healthy, and that'll obviously present a challenge for this Argos receiving group. Natey, it is great to connect with you. I can't wait to see somebody who's broadcasting football in person in this stadium. So thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Unreal. Thanks for having me, Louis. It was really fun. You're great at what you do. I love your energy, man, and hopefully you can meet up on Labor Day.
Absolutely. We will 100% make sure we do that. Maybe even have a celebratory beverage afterwards. Maybe if the Ticats win or if the Argos lose. Natey, I appreciate you doing this, and appreciate you, the listener, for tuning in. This has been Speaking with the Enemy on the Ticats Audio Network. And for the Ticats Audio Network, I'm Louie B. Hoping you have a great day.